Development cannot be a project of one administration, nor should every election require us to abandon one national vision and begin another. Professor has told us nations don't develop by accident. It has to be intentional, deliberate, planned. Nations that achieve lasting prosperity succeed because they sustain a common purpose across decades, even as administrations change. Kenya must cultivate that same discipline. We must think beyond electoral cycles, sustain what works, improve what can be made better, and build a national consensus around our long-term aspirations. I have said that we have done so much to get our country's economy on the rails. And 3 years ago is so fresh in my mind when we sat in a room called Room 6 here with colleagues and friends, including David and my Council of Advisors. And that the situation then was very different from the situation today. In that room, 3.5 years ago, we were grappling with a $2 billion debt that was threatening to torpedo our country. Today here, we're discussing the National Infrastructure Fund, which has $2.7 billion cash, not debt. That, in my opinion, is significant. Also, when I had a conversation with my predecessor, and he talked to me about continuity, I remember when we prepared the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, and I am very proud about the manifesto that we wrote. Sometimes I ask myself how we managed to write such a manifesto. And I want to thank my predecessor, President Uhuru Kenyatta. He gave me leave of absence for like 2 years. And I used that time to write this manifesto. With David and colleagues, we sat in my office in Karen and we went through. And most of what is in that manifesto has a huge element of continuity. Whether it is on education, on health, on housing, on agriculture, it has a big reflection on what we had tried to do in Jubilee under President Uhuru. We remember very well that the foundation was laid on our education. First president of Kenya laid the foundation on matters education. The second president expanded education, created more institutions, additional universities. President Mwai Kibaki came with universal primary education. President Kenyatta told us effectively that we must have 100% transition And it has been my responsibility to make sure that when we have 100% transition, we have the classrooms. That's why we built 23,000 classrooms to eliminate the gaps that were there. We must have enough teachers. That's why we've hired 100,000 teachers. And I want to say we have worked on the university funding model now, or higher education funding model for that matter. And because we have members of parliament here, including the chair of education, Mr. Meli here, that now we have in parliament the final version of how we are going to make higher education universal.